Yeah, I don't really think the intro is necessary, but I used it to buy myself a bit of time. I do believe, by the way, wherever I walk, we could lose a signal. So I'll notice I'll have to walk back if I see anything like that. At some point, by the way, I spoke to Archer and he was going to come on and he was going to go and get some equipment the next day. He was unable to find what he was looking for, but he's got what he needs now. So at some point, when me and him reconnect, we're going to come on here and have a proper chat. He remembers really cool stuff, and we've got like I don't know. We must be if we're not already there, we must be closing on 25 years friendship now. Mm. And I mean, we used to go because some crazy shit when we were like 20 years old. And yeah, I mean, even just a few years ago when we started Zero News, he still got me going doing crazy shit trying to get to this cave, which, by the way, we're still gonna take you to because it's this cave that's been. It's on the Isle. I don't want to ruin it too much. But it's a cave that's on the Isle of Wight. It's not a tourist attraction or anything, and yet it must have been there a very, very long time. And when you go inside, it's like a Faraday cage, completely cuts off mobile signal. But it's really small cave. I can't tell you. It's really small. But inside there, you've got carvings that must go back. I don't know. I wouldn't like to guess a very, very long time. And you've got basically, I suppose the only way I can really describe it to make it to give you an accurate kind of picture is you've got graffiti and some long lasting graffiti in there from maybe a few hundred years ago to the present day. So you got layer upon layer of graffiti as well as the original stuff that was done there. It's a very strange experience actually, because it's like you get all times in one hit. Very strange. Um, but a place that is a nightmare to get to, and the fun part is actually getting to it. Archer made me bloody. He was like, we got all this rope set up. Yeah, we had to try and scale this impossible fucking hill with my trainers on, and it's really wet. And I'm trying to, and he's sending me grab hold of the rope, and he's filming this, laughing his bollocks off. And I'm getting more annoyed because I'm every time I'm trying to pull myself up on the rope, I'm going face first under the ground. I beat the shit out of myself trying to get up that thing. I had no hope. He gave it one go, and I'm thinking that he's going to get up there straight away. He gave it one go, slipped over once, and was like, "Nah, bollocks, we'll find another way." I was like, "You arsehole." And then I thought afterwards, I thought, why did I? Why did I put myself through all that? Because I should have twigged the fact that he was just standing watching me do it. I should have twigged, really, shouldn't I? But so yeah, we're going to get Archer on because he does remember a lot of good stuff, um, and he remembers a lot of the best stories, to be honest. So, and he's very comfortable with the camera, the mic. So, we will get Archer on soon. Like I say, he's got the equipment now because we were going to do it the other day, but he's now got the equipment that he needs. So we're going to do it, and I'd like to do it more than once. I don't want it to be honest with you, I don't want it to be a one-off. I'd like to do it more than once, because me and him talk very easy. So yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good if we could do that. In terms of the mental health side of things, I said on the other video, it's really hard to know where to start because mm, there's so many things I could say that carry a warning or a caveat. 1 second. Oh, for fuck's sake! Here we go again. Every time. Mm. And that is, you know how things come out a bit backwards with me. So just give me time to what's the word, cover certain things. Like um, I'll give you for instance, giving some people, and this will come into context as I go along. Giving some people, like my sister, I gave my sister a what do you call it? Back before the internet was big, like a medical book, medical handbook. If you ever look at one of those medical handbooks, just get the life out of you because just about everything in there says could be serious. Phone 999. It's terrifying, right? It's just not worth reading, right? So So I remember that being one of my biggest regrets was giving my sister this medical handbook because Jesus, she was a hypochondriac. I don't, she used to be, not so much now, but and yeah, and she'd go looking for all this stuff, and I'd be like, look, you're yeah, you're not doing yourself any good with doing it. And then the next, so I thought that was the worst thing I could have done to her. No, the worst thing I could have done to her was I got her hitched up to the internet because the internet got her even more um, ability. Because I was sort of going, come on, see, you can go and look at this, you can go and look at that, you can see all this knowledge on there. Yeah, she wouldn't have got knowledge, all right, medical knowledge, or so she thinks. Medical misinformation, I'd call it. Anyway, the reason I mention that is because part of what I want to say today um is about that. But there was like for me, when I was younger, something happened to me, and I became a complete hypochondriac for about I don't know about a year. And when I say complete hypochondriac, I mean I was not rational, and I knew I wasn't being rational, and I was pleading with someone to try and break it to my brain that I knew there was nothing wrong. They knew there was nothing wrong, and yet for some reason, something deep down inside me wouldn't acknowledge it. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever dealt with because even I knew my thoughts were crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like I kept demanding X-rays, and it was just crazy. It's just crazy. Like to this day, I can't explain why I was like it. I don't know. But I do know that if you're OCD or if you're in that frame of mind, then obviously any medical information you can get about yourself is probably not good because you're going to misuse it, even if you don't intend to. With all of that said, I got over that, and as I said in the previous one of my previous recording, Blood Stories, was that when I was in hospital, I started learning to play with my heartbeat and realized that you could control it, not just with breathing, but with intent and with relaxing your muscles and a mixture of mental and physical stuff meant that you could do kind of you've got a certain amount of control, and that's interesting to me because I don't know if it's true or not, but there was always this thing that I remember the wildlife programs used to say, and they used to say on an average lifespan, let's say without being murdered or whatever else, in an average lifespan, a mouse will have the same amount of heartbeats as a elephant, as will a human. Even though a mouse's heart is going and yeah, because of the amount of time they live. And so they say the average sort of heartbeat is about the same amount. So I always used to say to my mate, which is ironic now because he's the one that had the heart attack, so it makes it feel terrible. But I used to say to him, we've got a maximum amount of heartbeats. Got to sort this anxiety shit out, man, because you're going to use them all up. Anyway, I got a new watch recently because I can't find my old one, which is absolutely gutting because the old one is means a lot and it's expensive. It was a present from my dad, so I've got to find it. But I got like a Galaxy watch to go with my phone. I've never done that before. I've never spent that money on a watch like that before. But if I ever got one, I got one of those cheap shit ones. I've got to say, I can see why they're more expensive. I don't think they're worth money still, but I can see why they're more expensive. Quality of the screen, what they do, just the quality is quality all the way through. And you can see the difference, and I can see why they are priced so differently. But I still think they're overpriced because of the name. But they are quality wise massively different. Anyway, this thing does a really fantastic readout of your heartbeat, which most watches try that as shit. Um, and this one's pretty spot on. I've used it against a proper machine, and it's pretty spot on. Anyway, I don't know what made me do it, but so obviously it's new, so I want to play with it, so I play around with it, and I'm like, great, I got this heart monitor thing now, so I can focus. So like I say, if you're in the wrong state of mind, or if you have not got this far down the path yet, do not go and do this because all it will do is start making you think there's something wrong with your heart or something. And it will make you really down on yourself. But you've got to be at a certain stage. But if you're at a certain stage, you're more comfortable with yourself and all that. It's like for me, it gives me a target. So not that I've done this yet, but if my I walk around sometimes and I'm walking around at a heartbeat of about 90, which sounds not too bad. but but me, when I'm anxious, my heartbeat doesn't actually go massively higher. I think because I'm used to it. So it goes up to about 90 from about 65, 70. And um, so I used to try and concentrate on bringing that down. And over, so you can bring that down pretty instantly, but it's a short term effect. But I brought it down kind of semi permanently back in 2013 over a period of 3, 4 months by just doing something every day to do something about it. And it actually did slow my heartbeat. I think I was averaging around 75 um, from averaging around something like 89. I know it doesn't sound like a massive difference, but it is. Um, and today, so I don't know. So this, some people will get this, but not have been through it, and some people will totally get where I'm coming from, and some people won't understand it at all. But I go on and on about wanting the good weather and really, really wanting days like this to come. And then when they do, especially because in England, you don't know when the next nice day is going to be. Quite literally, it could be 4 months' time. You feel, or for people like me, you feel this sense of like, I've got to get at it now. Because what if it ain't here tomorrow and I've got to wait another 3 months? Do you know what I mean? So there's because of that. So it's like I'll give you for instance, when I was living in, well, not living, when I was semi permanent in Greece, or semi resident in Greece I should say, I used to, if I was feeling rough or whatever else, I just used to stay in. And that's that. It didn't bother me. I knew that the next day was going to be the same. So but in this country I don't feel like I can do that. And so I will say that, you know, people try and tell you to push yourself to do things when you've got anxiety, which is broadly speaking good advice. It depends what they're pushing you to do. I mean, I'll give you for instance, people used to try and push me to go to nightclubs all the time and stuff like that. And it might just be that you hate nightclubs and it's got nothing to do with anxiety. Um, and with nightclubs and stuff like that, with me, that was mostly it. Even when I did start relaxing about it, I just realized I just didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. So the one thing is to do is I'd be able to identify what you actually enjoy and what is being what other people think you should enjoy and what you actually enjoy, and as a result, um, feel like inhibited from doing by anxiety. And sorry, bear with me. So I felt today to be honest with you, I could have stayed in. I didn't feel up for it. I've been out the last couple of days. I've been spending a lot of time alone because I've been trying to figure some things out, and because I've not been feeling, I don't know, just stuff I don't even talk about on here because I don't even really know how I would explain it. It's just sometimes you live in a world of your own while you're figuring certain stuff out, don't you? And that's as complicated as I need to make it. Um, but with that said, um, sorry, I'm forgetting myself. I knew this was going to happen if I didn't get this out, some of this out quicker. Just bear with me. It will come back because it's the only thing I've got to bring to the table. Just bear with me. Look at this a lot again. Mm. So if you've got to the stage where you're comfortable enough to at least try and push yourself to go out, it's a good thing to do. And it's like coming down here today. I picked the beach that I knew would be the quietest, and I was rewarded. Because what happens is with people is if they do push themselves to go out and then they go and find all the things they hoping they wouldn't, it's unfortunate confirmation bias that will then make them say, see, I knew it was gonna be shit if I went out. This is exactly what I expected. It always happens to me. I'm not gonna try this again. And it's like try not to let that happen to you because like everybody has bad luck. And it's more like, you know, the only thing I'll say about today is there are some days, and this is probably for everybody. There are some days where you're just not up for it. And arguably, I'm quite happy sat down here recording this now, talking to you. I've got enough clothing on so I feel warm. It's nice and down the beach, fresh air. Do you know what I mean? I can't complain. But arguably, I could have benefited just as much from staying in today. In as much as that's the mood I was in, and it's very rare I'm in that mood because I'm always looking to get out in this. But I sort of let guilt run away with me a little bit, and I was lucky. I got away with it today. I got away with it because I went home and then I made myself come back out again, which could have been a bigger mistake. Because sometimes I have come out, I do regret it. Every now and again, I do regret forcing myself out. You've got to know, like, don't get me wrong. 95% of the time, I don't. 5% of the time, you realise you shouldn't be out today. You just should have stayed home. And I thought today was going to be like that. Thankfully, it's not been that bad. And I've kind of enjoyed it. I'm glad I've come out, which was all I wanted. I knew I wasn't going to feel fantastic. I just wanted to feel glad that I'd come out, and I do, and that means I've already achieved what I want to achieve. Anything else is luxury. Um, but the bit where all the medical stuff comes in, and everything else is, I it took me about an hour and a half to. This is the embarrassing part that people come back and take this out of. Um, is it took me about an hour and a half to get out of my door today. Um, I went. It's almost like I went, and I didn't go backwards because I don't believe in going backwards. But it was like going back in time to a time when I used to be frightened to go out that front door, out any door. And don't get me wrong, I still do get it from time to time now, as it's proved. But I just wasn't expecting it. You know, with the weather being nice, and it makes you feel guilty because you wanted this nice weather, and then suddenly you're sat there, paralysis by analysis, and you can't do anything about it, and it makes you feel even worse. And I think that was why I pushed myself to go out because I didn't want to get to like 5 o'clock and then feel like a shit for wasting the day. So I pushed myself to go out, which, as I said, the way I felt today was a bit of a risk. But thinking about it now, I do feel glad I've come out. And had I stayed at home, I might be giving myself a hard time by now. So perhaps it wasn't the wrong day. Um, but it's always worth knowing when those wrong days are because every now and again it is worth saying to yourself, today is just not the right day. Let yourself off the hook completely because if you don't let yourself off the hook, there's no point not doing it. If you're going to decide, no, I'm definitely not up for going out today, then make sure you give yourself that full permission. Don't give yourself semi permission, but then secretly feel guilty about it or be thinking, should give yourself full permission? And once you made the decision, fucking stick to it. Stick to the decision. That's important. So I just realised I can't actually see any comments to reflect that up. Um, it, that is, hey Helen, that is a really important thing is to make once you made a decision, if you're sure, stick with it. Unless you feel, don't get me wrong, unless you feel suddenly like, hey, going out would be the best thing in the world, then you know, every now and again, it's not even defeat. Just every now and again, just tap out and say, do you know what, I need a day just worrying about me, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that, and I want to wrap up and be indoors. That's cool, you know. Um, and the reason I mentioned the health thing was because this is a new watch, and so it hadn't would have occurred to me before. When I finally did try and make my beeline for the door to go, I was stood and I had the bike ready to go. And I normally, as I said, even when I'm anxious, my heartbeat still only goes to about 90 beats because I'm used to it. And that enables me to still think and analyze, whereas most people can't because it's just pure fight or fright. And so I got to the door and I had a quick look and I measured it and it was 115 beats per minute, and then I was like, yeah, that's more what I would have expected, but never get. And then I was like, oh, if I could do it one more time because it's probably read it wrong or something like that. And then it was 118 beats. I was like, just get the fuck out the door. But that just shows you that just how much bottled stress was there just to get from that seat to the door, which was approximately 3 meters, and out the door. And I thought those days were long behind me. The only difference being is that, and for a moment I did have deja vu and thought, oh no. But the difference being is in the past I might have stayed in for 4 months. Here I am down the beach on a beautiful day, um, talking to you, doing a video earlier on, making plans, and got stuff to go home to look forward to, and also as well, like I say, I'll feel good that I got out. And like I say, so these things are actually good if you can use that as a goal. If you can use that and say, "Whoa, 115 beats a minute." Um, okay, well that's not that that shouldn't be a normal resting rate. So I'm going to change that, and you can. And so that's why I'm saying sometimes things like this are really handy. But if it's going to drive you neurotic, or if you can't control it and it drives you neurotic, it's like not worth having at all because it can make you 10 times worse. But someone like me, it gives me a target. Gives me a target, and if I see that in a numerical form, I know that my body is acting up. So I can then mentally start to regain control, which I did. And we were by the time I went out, went around the corner, went to a shop, went to my mum's. Bear in mind, all that is movement and that. So your heart's obviously being kept more active. I'd managed to get it down to about 83, which ain't bad when you consider. And it's just like not allowing that like panic you, or worry you. It's like 'cause that's what a lot of people do is they react. And you're like, don't react. It's like, what did you expect? If you were nervous, you were frightened, and then that's what some people do. They'll see that number, and it's like, don't react to it. What did you expect it to say? Like 49? Do you know what I mean? I'm dumb. So, I would seriously recommend only looking at things like that if you can make targets of those things, if you can make goals of them, if you're somebody that will make something else of it, like a fucking 6 year torment, don't bother. Because it can be a torment for some people. The same as they will go looking up their medications and everything else. And I mean, we all can look up stuff a bit like that on the internet, but I mean, they go manic into it. And again, confirmation bias will find you what you're looking for. So, but even for me to have come as far as I've come, to be humbled to be humbled by being sat there going, I don't know if I can make it to the door. I don't know if I can get out the door. And when I do get out the door, I don't know what's going to happen because I'm so wound up. I don't know if I can coexist with people. I don't know if I can see a family member and get on with them. I don't. Do you know what I mean? And these are just the basic questions. And but um, like I say, if you go out and you have one bad time, that is not an excuse to tell yourself, well, that's it then. That proves my point because it doesn't. Going out one time and having a bad time, or going out to something that you hate, is not proving anything other than that you're not willing to try. It's like you got to pick things you genuinely know that you like, and do them when you sort of ready. Like the escape mechanism for me is there the whole time, and that is that I'm not one of these people that feels too dejected if I come 3/4 of the way down here, which is quite a trek. If I come 3/4 of the way down here and gone nah nah and turn around and gone back, which I've done before, and I won't feel bad about it because at least I tried, and that has happened. I've gone out to film for you before and gone nah. I, I can't even give them. I can't even give them. I will be depressing. So and yeah, nah. Do you know what I mean? So there are days where I go to put that camera on or I go to do something and it's just nah. There's nothing positive you've got to put out right now. Even if you want to try and turn a negative into a positive, you won't because you're in that wrong mindset. So yeah, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of times where even I have to kind of tap out mentally and go, I can't, I can't. I do probably not loads and loads, but I do probably more than you realise. But it's just literally that I don't want to come on and be depressing when you're talking about these issues. They're already heavy issues, and if you're even bothering to listen, in some cases, it's because you've got or had those issues, and it's trying to talk about them without making people who are listening feel too heavy about it. You know. Um, and all I'm really trying to say with any of this is like I spent at the height of my of when I was younger, the height of all this, I spent um 10 months in a year, and I mean 10 months about going out once. When I think about that now, that's insane, but that's what happened. Um, and then even the following 2 years, which weren't as bad, were 8 months a year, 8 months apiece. That's a long, long time. Talking about lockdowns and things like that. I knew what a lockdown was way before we had a lockdown, a proper one. You know. But you've got that same character there that couldn't get out of his front door. To a guy now that has the odd bad day like today, but at the same time, normally with a little bit of pig-headedness, will just pick himself up and go. That's not because I'm a different person. So if you're one of these people that can't, it's not because I'm a different headset-minded person than you. It's not because I've got a strength that you don't. It might be that I've learned one that you haven't got, but it's not that I've got something in my DNA or in my body that I have that you do not. And that is the whole reason for making these videos. If anything, I'm quite a weak person. So the fact of it is that if I can get myself into a position, hey Busker, if I can get myself into a position of where I'm at now, where I can face that fear, do it anyway, and then on the really bad days, do the nah thing and turn back round, go back. Know your limit sort of thing. Yeah. If you can get that far, sorry, I've got that far by having all those horrible times before, but it is about the hardest part about the whole thing is wanting change. If you're one of these people that are having a bad time every day, the hardest part about it is wanting change, because the one thing that nobody wants to admit to is that you become addicted to being miserable. You become addicted to being terrified. Your body does. It gets a release of adrenaline every day, and then it gets a release of endorphins to try and calm you down. And just like any other drug, it's all addictive. And so people don't realize it, but like you see this a lot in therapy. When you get to a certain stage, and the stage is change, that's where a lot of people will fall straight on their face because they don't really want change. What they want is to feel good, and life isn't about feeling good. Um, what they want is to make this feeling magically go away, but they don't want to work for it, and they don't want to change anything, and they just want to do the same thing over and over and expect everything to be different. And so there's this point where you've just got, in some cases you've got to just kind of, with some stuff, bite the bullet, and other stuff it's really difficult. And that's why I could never give anybody blanket advice, because this is really difficult to break down. Because in other cases, you've got to stand your ground and you've got to fight your ground and say, no, I'm not going to be told this is the only way this is done. Like cognitive therapy, for instance, where I told you a lot of the therapists that do that are very arrogant about the fact that it works for this percentage of people. And it's like we don't tell me the percentages before we start. Just shut up. Just do the therapy. Um, because the most effective therapy I've ever been to, and we're all different. The most effective therapy I've ever been to is simple talking therapy, simple counselling. Um, why? I do not know, because I'm not someone that really needs to cry on people's shoulder very often. So why, I do not know. But I think we used to get to a bottom to of a lot of things. I don't mean the bottom of childhood traumas. I'm just mean day to day things, because I'm a very thoughtful kind of person. And one thing that you will not get on the NHS, they used to give you like six free sessions. I don't think they even do that now. Used to be able to. Sorry, one thing they won't give you in the NHS is counselling. You can get cognitive therapy, um, and variants of it. You can go to groups. You can have it singular, but they won't entertain the idea of counselling. Won't do it. And yet the counsellors and psychotherapists and the people that have done all of these things and mixed them all together, some of them are fantastic. I was paying someone at one point. I only had to see them for, I don't know, not very long. And they showed me some really cool shit, which I've never forgotten. And to this day, I used to be worse and a lot more often to this day the simple shit that I learned. Because this is the thing, is that a lot of it is simple, but the way the NHS, not the NHS itself, but the way that some of the people in the NHS are taught to deliver it to you, it's like you're a fucking moron on that one hand, but they don't explain anything on the other hand. It's like, do this because we tell you to. I don't know about you, but I need a little bit more info than that. Like, you're asking me to do something that's putting me out. You're saying it's going to make me better. I don't see how, because it's something like, I don't know, it's something like get up at 8 o'clock every morning, even if you haven't any need to. Okay, why? Don't drink coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning. Why? No answers. Just do it. Seriously, that was basically the attitude. I've got to just do it. No, that doesn't help a person. Because what they're thinking is, I feel like top of myself, or perhaps it's not that. Perhaps you just feel so anxious that all you're doing is just you're just desperate for it to stop. It's I would equate anxiety with desperation. Just please make it stop. That's all you're feeling. And so when someone tells you not to have a cup of coffee in the morning, um, it can feel, especially when you're young, you can feel a lot of anger towards that because you're like, you motherfucker, you're telling me not to have a cup of coffee. It's the only fucking pleasure I got. And because they never break it down for you, they never break it down. This is why I love to be able to speak to younger people and say to them, look, there's a method to their fucking madness, and it is madness, but there is a method to it. And it's like, would you, and it's a buckaroo scenario, which they never talk about. And as therapists, this should be the first thing that they should be talking to you about. And it's like the buckaroo thing is, for me, that's what I've called it. Is obviously a metaphor, right? So, and it is literally, the straw that broke the camel's back is the other metaphor. And so it's like what you're trying to do with the not having a coffee in the morning, not having this, not doing this, getting up at this time. You're trying to introduce structure for the people that haven't got any structure, but um, also you're trying to take away all the little things that can what's the word, trigger elongate, or intensify anxiety. So for instance, first time I gave up smoking, and I wish I'd never started again. First time I gave up smoking, I gave it up because I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to get up, I used to smoke a cigarette in the morning, and I started to realise that every morning, literally as I was smoking that cigarette, I was having a fucking anxiety attack, which would go on for about an hour and a half. I stopped smoking cigarettes, and the anxiety attack disappeared. And that was when I started to realise how some things can really be the simplest of triggers. And so I will say coffee hasn't ever really been a trigger that I've seen, but having a cigarette was a massive trigger. I couldn't believe it. The cannabis that all of the potheads will say, "Oh man, it chills you out, it chills you out." Well, actually, no, it doesn't always chill you out, and there's a lot of people that doesn't chill out at all. Um, for me, like for me, people talk about being recreational drug. If I have something like that on the wrong day, that's going to make me 10 times worse. Um, so for me, having something like that, it's like I picked my time, because if I didn't, then I would have a terrible time. That makes me 10 times. I don't know why. Don't know why. It just does. Other people swear that it calms them down. For me, it's never done that. It will only do that if I'm already calm. It just make me calmer. So I don't really get that. But we're all different. Fuck's sake. Fuck's sake. Mm, where was I? By the way, yeah. So you see all these you can't see them. All the beach huts along there. It was good because a tornado came in here and ripped about five of them up. Unfortunately, it ripped an old tree up as well. But um, yeah. So And please, as I've said before, none of this is medical advice. None of this is advice. None of this is what's the word? Official. All it is that I'm 45, and if someone had come along and said some of these things to me when I was 20, especially the reasons like why not to have the coffee, it's not about the coffee. It's about the coffee and the fag and the thing that you do, I don't know, say at 12 o'clock, that's a stimulant, and the thing that you do later on that tends to get you a bit wound up, and this and that, and it's the buckaroo thing. It's not any one injured individual thing. What they're trying to do is take away all the things that will put you over the edge. I'll give an example. People will commit suicide or road rage, as you know, or people will go over the edge if they are on hot days. If the weather's hot and it's a really oppressive heat wave, if someone is on the edge, it's well known. It's well known. Most doctors and that he, believe it or not, will send the person over the edge if they're right on that limit. That'll do it. That'll flip them over. Um, as hard as it is to believe that something as simple as that could turn someone from what would appear to be just an angry person to a raving lunatic, it actually can be that simple because they're holding it all in. Not a good strategy, but it's what a lot of people do. It's what most of us do. Um, and you see that, and you do see that in the way that you ever seen these people. They seem to be road raging, but and you have an argument with them, and do you ever feel like you're not actually arguing with you? Do you ever feel they're not arguing with you? You ever have this feeling like you want to look behind you because the things they're saying that don't even match up to anything that's going on, and you realize they're just angry with the world or angry with whatever because nothing they're saying applies to you. And in the end, you just like carry on. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. So I've seen a lot of that, but um, the fact that I'm here, the fact that I'm here now, and look at what people even the wind's coming down, so it's actually warmer than it was when I got here. It was quite cold when I got here. Um, Good sign for tomorrow, eh? And the fact that I've got out, the fact that when I get home, I will go. I'm glad I did that, and the fact that if I had got here and felt uncomfortable, I would have just turned out around, gone home, and I would not have given myself a hard time at all. That's the big fucking trick. It's not just about doing these things. It's about if you fail, and I wouldn't even call it failure. It's just if it's not the right day for you and you don't do it, then it's about not giving yourself a hard time. And the reason it's about not giving yourself a hard time is because it's just pure fucking ego. And you could, a lot of people get really offended by that. Go, oh, it's not ego. How can it be ego? It's ego because it's still about you, and nobody else gives a shit. So why don't you just shut up, get off your own back, and just reset and try again the next day? Um, Nothing's gonna change very much. So nothing's changed very much. If you've been going through this for a while, nothing changed very much. So what's the big deal? Let yourself off. If you've got past that point and no return, it's too late, or you've given up, whatever. And like I say, make that choice to stay in when you actually know that it's better for you to, which might only be in like my case. I said 95% earlier on, probably a bit much, but probably 1 in 15 times that I'm leaving the house at the moment is a time where I'll turn back around and come back in. That's probably a fair number. And the other 14 times, I'm pleased that I've done it. And all you've got to be aware is when that 15th time is, and as long as you're aware of it, and when you decide, and that's what you've got to do. A couple of things. You've got to decide to turn around and go back, because if you don't, and you push yourself to do something that you are hating, then that's what you're going to remember the next time you're going to do it. The hatred that you had for it and the fear. So don't put yourself through that. And then going home and then getting off of your own back and saying, I made a choice. I didn't let this choose me. I didn't sit and procrastinate until the choice was taken away from me. I didn't I didn't force myself to do something without thinking, meaning again, the choice is really taken away from me. I made a choice and I stuck with it. And you know what? That's empowering. So don't be like hard on yourself because you made a choice not to be somewhere. Um, that's just as powerful as making the choice to go out past the front door and go out and facing those things that you're afraid of, even if you don't know what you're afraid of, even if you're afraid of yourself, which is what most people are. It's not really that they're afraid of this or that. It's they're afraid of their own behavior. Um, and just kind of relax about it and just as long as you, like I say, as long as you're prepared to tell yourself when that 15th day is, you have a 14. Look at me, like I say. And the reason I say it's important for me to tell you this is because I consider myself quite a weak person. And if a relatively weak person like me can get from a point of being locked up 10 months a year to this in April, um, I still have a problem between um, November and January. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be. This is what I mean about accepting limitations. I'm beginning to think that I've tried my hardest over the last few years, and I've had more reason over the last few years to be active than ever, and I've still found it to be a huge issue. And so there's part of me that's now beginning to accept that that is just a hard part of the year for me, and that I am not going to be at my optimum. I'm going to be, not firing on all cylinders for those months of the year, which is why I really wanted to live abroad. But so be it. So be it. Sometimes you got to accept those limitations. But what that means is, come summertime, well, not summertime even, come spring, come sort of really for me, end of February, all the way through to end of October, got to do more. Got to try and get more done than you would have done, with the extra time. I think that's what I've got to try and do. We did have a strategy for the winter, but it failed. It went very wrong. We thought we could kind of produce the same kind of walk and talk feeling from doing a studio environment, and it just sucked. So you you learn, you live and you learn. But yeah, that's kind of it really. It's just kind of like a lot of this is about being really honest with yourself and going on self guilt trips about I did or didn't do this. It is ego as much as you're like you may scratch your head and think, well, how is it? It is ego. It's all about you. Nobody else cares. So therefore, why are you giving yourself such a hard time? Like you must see there's nothing to be gained from doing that, and everything to be lost because you're piling the pressure on for next time. Um, go out and do it like I say, play it safe. Do what I did today. I wasn't I wasn't sure about how I'd be, so I played it safe and I came to the quietest beach that I knew of. Picked the quietest part of the beach that I could think of, and as a result, there's a couple of people about, but as a result, um, I've got not too many people around me, and if I want to be alone, I can be alone within 30 seconds. So, people who think that way, also have all your exits ready. But seriously, make sure there's a place within eyesight you could just get out of the way if you need to. Um, and yeah, like I say, I'll be going home glad that I tried and glad that I did it. Um, and you'd be surprised what that does as a knock-on effect because it then might mean that I go and make more effort with my house tonight. So I've got some tidying up to do. I would do that tidying up anyway, but it might just make me do that extra bit more because I feel good about the fact that I've gone and done something in the daytime. So it's like, right, now I want to do something at night time that is just a little bit more than I might have done. And I find that's the feel good because we don't talk about the feel good parts. The feel good knock on effect of coming back and saying something as simple. Some people will never understand, and they will just think, "What a stupid thing to say." But something as simple as I did it. I went out. I went down the beach. I said that I would, and I kept my promise to myself. And on top of that, I didn't feel like it, and I did it, and I come out of it feeling pretty good. Those are victories, and those victories are actually huge because, like I say, you use them to catapult yourself towards other things, and so there's actually a lot of upside you can gain from from all this, because, like I say, it goes into the next thing that you do, and whether you're working on your place at night or whether I'm making a video tonight, whatever I do, probably something a little bit extra go into it, and I won't sit ruminating over what I didn't do today. I won't sit giving myself a hard time about getting certain sleep for tomorrow. I'll just go home and do what I feel like doing, and I almost feel like I've not earned it because I haven't really done like I haven't done any reporting today, but do you know what I mean? I feel more comfortable doing it. So, and I know we're all at different stages, so I know there are some people that were where I was in that 10-month thing, and for you, you'll be there going, Jesus Christ, do you know how hard it is for me to get outside the building? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And that's why I'm not suggesting that you strip off naked and go running down the street. I'm saying that it's possible. If I can do it, anyone can. It took me a long time, but when I hit 36, I think it was 36, 37, 36, I think, hit 36 and met the right people at the right time. And the combination of the two changed my life forever. Um, Proving it's never too late. And while you may see me moan, while you may see me talk about this kind of subject, the reason I do is because although it's not completely gone in me, I've seen it completely gone in others, and my life is infinitely better than it was. And when I say infinitely better, I cannot overstress that point, to the point where, there are days where I actually wake up and think, what am I going to do today? Like, in an excited way. Whereas that had gone for a long, 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 long time. And yeah, there's if you can get through all this, you become a stronger person. I don't care what anyone says. If you have the harder lessons, if you have the harder time, you'll come through as a stronger person. And so I can kind of laugh at myself as well now as well, which is important, to be able to laugh at some of your some of your idiosyncrasies, because then you can let someone you trust in on it as well, and you can have a giggle with them, a bit of a dark sense of humor about certain stuff. Um, and I've been a very, very deep, and I wouldn't say dark, but very deep and thoughtful place over the last few days, to the point where even the people that I keep in touch with the most, I've dropped off radar accidentally because I didn't realize how much thought I was putting into things. But I needed to. I wasn't. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I wasn't going to actually say this, but I've said to you before about I wasn't sure if I wanted to carry on doing the podcast. And I got over that a long time ago. And then this last week, something was feeling a bit amiss. And I mean, we've had our disappointments, we've had our knocks and everything else, but they're done, they're gone. And so, although there's still some residual disappointment, they're done. And history's history. You either carry on or you don't, but you don't ruminate on things. Mm. So, with that said, mm, I am always frustrated. I'm always in a state of frustration, and by that I mean I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking. I'm always wishing I could do more. Frustrated that I can't do more, and then when I can do something, like there are days when I want to be able to do 10 things, and I am in the position of not having any transport. I can't do anything. There's news to be covered. There's news out there. Uh, People out there like Basque, you can't cover everything. There's stuff out there, and then you know, and when I'm not doing it, it's very frustrating for me. And that is how I'm used to being, though, frustrated. And that's a good thing. I look at that frustration as a good thing because it means the motivation is there, and the will and the constant need to get out there is there. And like this last week, I just like I don't know. I had this feeling like I can't explain it. If I'll use some words, but they don't they may give you the wrong impression. But it's as close as I can really put it. Part of me felt like I couldn't give a fuck anymore, but it's not quite the way it sounds. It's hard to explain. Part of me felt like I'd made an impact, even if people didn't see it, and that was perhaps all I could ever achieve. Um, and I also started thinking about the fact that I have got a limited time that I can walk, And I started thinking, do I want to be keep fucking myself up on these marches and stuff, or do I want to go and smell the roses? And I had a week of this, and of not feeling any passion, any frustration about recording, not interested in making any new intros, not interested in editing anything together, just nothing. Played a computer game for the first time in I don't even know how long, don't even know how long, years, and I thought, shit, am I done? Is this it? Am I? Because I've never felt like this before. Since I've had times where I've thought about walking away, but that's always been emotional or frustration or, but this was different. This was like wasn't very much emotion. There was no frustration, and I was just like, I don't know. I can't explain it. And where it kept going day after day, I started to think, fuck, maybe you're burnt out, although it's I wouldn't really describe it as a burnt out feeling, or maybe you've come to the end of the line. Like, as people know, I can go out there and talk for 3 hours at a time. So maybe you've talked everything you've got to say. Um, and it's funny because up until I was sat here, and the reason I brought this up until the reason I was sat here a little while ago, getting passionate, did I realize that there it is, there it is. That's what's been missing, and that's why I had to get down here today because that frustration and passion was back. Um, so whatever that was that caused that, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. It's gone now. But it's really weird when something you care about on a daily basis, and I mean daily, when something you care about on a daily basis suddenly means nothing to you and you don't know why. And then it goes on the next day and the next day. It's just a strange feeling. I didn't like it. And I wasn't down or I don't know, I can't really explain it to you. Um, but it's like I say, the fact that I felt like I had to get out, had to get down here, had to do this, had to do that. I think that kind of says it all in the yeah, it's obviously come back. And I do have a lot of plans, but you know, I'm just taking things baby steps at the moment, and I'm not giving a fuck about anymore about what people are worried about me doing or not doing, as in whether I'm covering big stories, small stories, no small stories. Do you know what? When I started this, I just filmed what I wanted, and people joined in or they didn't, and more often than not they would because it was good atmosphere, and that's I'm just gonna keep doing it. It's just like do my best, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit and fuss about getting every scoop because I don't even have any transport. Do you know what I mean? It's just putting unnecessary pressure on myself. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. So this has accidentally been a bit of a self therapy session, but also I really do hope that someone younger might just take some little bit of hope from it, and then it's useful for someone in some way, even as reference. Um, because like I say, if I can do it, anyone can. That's an important thing, and um, because as well, although the channel is not huge, some people consider it to be a success. It's certainly done more than you know, we might have hoped. And I wanted to show when I started all this, and it's still a work in progress, that whether you've got problems or not, you can still contribute something positive towards what we're doing. And I wanted to be proof of that. And I'm not sure that I am yet, but the game ain't over. So we'll see where we go. But I want us to make a massive positive impact before I'm done. And then yeah, and then whatever. And then whatever. But yeah, I feel like I've talked enough. I don't probably already bored the pants of everyone. But so I'll probably just leave it there. But I would just say, like I say, don't put yourself under pressure with anything that I've said, or like I say, we're all at different stages, and it may be that you're at a stage where the idea of coming down here and doing what I'm doing is alien to you. this was alien to me once too. This was completely alien to me. Um, and here I am. So just bear that in mind that people have been where you are, which I know doesn't help you right now. But what does help you is where are they now? And they are doing a lot better than they were. Generally speaking, although not always, but generally speaking, a lot of conditions that are bad when you're younger generally tend to mellow out as you get older. Not always, but often. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. Um, but there's so many more positives to take out of this than perhaps I've even got across. Um, yeah, it's not even about having structure to do or anything else like that. It's just about having conviction in yourself and your thoughts and in your decisions. Make decisions, don't let them be made for you by the passing of time, by the sun going down. These little things are actually huge because you know when the sun goes down and you've deliberately slowed the decision down, or you've ruminated to the point where the decision was taken out of your hands. You kind of know what you've done. So um, yeah, you feel so much better for just going, I'm making a decision. So anyway, that's it. I'm done. I'm sorry I can't see comments if there are any, and I don't know if people are watching, so I apologise. And Steam Yard does my head in. Anyway, Tom Fury for channels 2, 3, and 4, I think. So I'll catch you soon. Of course, I actually forgot. Hey, yeah, hey, Janet. Hey, Ellen. I actually forgot to what's the word? To actually end the podcast. So I forgot to press the stop going live button. So I'll try. Right, we'll try again, shall we? Where's the outros? Oh, where the outros? Are there? Play a bit of fucking outro music. I don't know what this will be coming up, but let's just see.